once we get past weeders, and there are some padded handles in the ergonomic set in Lee Valley. Michelle was asking, and you might want to take a look and see if they have that with the curved blade, curved handle. We like hand pruners that are bypass, that cut like scissors, not like a blade cutting against an anvil. It's better for the plants. But we need them to fit the hand well, and that the blade will hold its edge well, and that the keeper stays in place. Montana, go to the next one. The keeper on this one is a little swivel, and given use for a while, during one season's use, this will loosen up, and as you close the clippers and they're bending down, you're pointing them down, this keeper will flop over and lock, and you'll have to unlock it. Whereas something that you pull down or push down is less likely, but not entirely safe. So and that's hard to do. The more expensive pruners tend to be a little bit better. Fits your hand is that this one, and we'll get into this later because Fiskars, I don't recommend that you buy this kind anymore, not from Fiskars. This is fully open and fits in your hand. This, when it's fully open, you have to keep your finger pressed against it to keep it from falling out of your hand, and that puts pressure on your hand and on your nerves and causes more problems, more repetitive motion problems. So for many years, I've been telling people this is the kind of pruner to buy the Fiskars Power Gear, and great deal of disappointment to me. They've changed how they manufacture them. The blade is not as good. The keeper sometimes locks. So I'm using mine. I have the old ones, and I'll use them until they wear out. But I won't tell you to buy these. I'll tell you to switch back to Felcos. They're expensive pruners, but they are worth it. They have a good blade on them. They have a huge number of types. So these are A.M. Leonard's. And these are Lee Valley's. The Felcos, there's 12, 14, 15 different kinds of them. And you want to hold those in your hand, because how do you know which ones you're going to try? The ones that I used to use, and I'll go back to, are the rotating handle pruners, the number 12, or if you're left-handed, the number 10. So that as number one, they don't open as wide, and number two, as I close my hand, the one handle curls. It feels weird the first time you use it until you get used to it. But what it's doing is it's spreading the pressure along your fingers rather than putting all the pressure with every cut on the same place on your fingers. So I'll switch to those and try not to lose them, because they are expensive to replace. But you can see the difference in the handles. You have to have that in your hand. So you're going to go to a local place and try them first. Lee Valley, charging more than, and then you're going to pick the one that's the same Felco, but going to be less. I've been told by a number of people that they swear by their ratchet pruners, but this is an anvil type pruner. It closes part way and lets you readjust your hand and keep closing, but it holds it closed. As you lose hand strength, these are good to have, but do remember that they are ratchet type pruners, which means it's a one blade cutting against an anvil. They're not going to last as long, and the blade is going to do some crushing of one side of the stem. So on your special precious plants, I would not use an anvil pruner. And when you go to a local store, the Felcos are in packages. Expensive, of course they package them. It's hard to try them by hand. You're going to have to go to a gardening volunteer operation and try other people's if you want to actually try them and see how well they work. That's a drawback. Now, when you're into hand pruners or secateurs, you're also going to find yourself looking at snips and say, well, why would I want to use those? These are lighter weight, faster action, easier to keep sharp for small stems. And there are all different kinds of snips. I prefer to use this kind right here that has a switch, a button to pull down to close or lock them, rather than these, which have a tendency to sometimes lock themselves. And I like the kind of spring that's in these, that's a steel spring, rather than the coiled spring. It tends to work better. This kind of keeper that wraps around the back is also something that can get in the way too. But I do like the ARS tools. They have a very good blade that holds an edge very well. ARS is a good tool company. They don't sell directly, they sell through AM Leonard and some other companies. These are Lee Valley clippers. Again, I'd want to put these in my hand to feel them. Then we moved to a pruning saw. We have a lot of different pruning saws. I tend to get someplace and find out that I've forgotten a saw, so I have to stop and get a saw. These saws, this one is a Falco, and you would think Falco being great pruners, I would recommend their saws. The blade is not a good piece of metal. You're going to break the tip off. And once you break the tip off, they don't work as well. They really don't work as well. They're also straight blades on both of these. And straight blades, you're not cutting straight wood, you're cutting curved branches. And it makes a difference to use a curved blade. The pruning saws we swear by are the Coronas. It's a good piece of metal. It holds its edge well. And we recommend strongly that you get a folding pruner. I press down on this black button and this folds into it so you can put it in a pocket or into your bucket and not hurt yourself later reaching in for it. I've heard good things about the Silky saws from professional arborists. Oh, these are great saws. It's a great piece of metal, but it's a straight blade, so I have not tried it yet, but I've heard great things from them, and these are Lee Valley Silkies. You don't need a longer saw than this. I've seen people with great big saws. I've seen people with a straight, what are they called? Band saws, like they give you at the Christmas tree farm to cut your Christmas tree. Those are very difficult to maneuver inside a small tree. The bigger the blade is, the more like the bigger the branch that it can handle, but you are not going to cut things that are bigger than 1 inch or 2 inches in diameter. You're just not going to cut those. You're going to leave those for somebody else to cut. You can buy directly from Corona, which is good because not everybody carries them. They do have slightly different styles on the handles as well as different lengths. There are other folding saws, and if you need to have one, great, go ahead and get one. But if you want the best, get the Coronas. Home Depot carries the Coronas, but not the folding Coronas, not in the store. I think they're on their website.